Hello everybody, I'm going to make a quick tutorial for you on how to get started with the Armor Reforger game tools, also known as Enfusion. We'll be using 3 programs and 2 wikis. It's QGIS, I'll give you a link, the how to install a plugin for QGIS, which helps you get the satellite and image and terrain data, and then we will use this as our main source of how to do stuff on the Enfusion editor. Special thanks and everything. So there's a lot of guys that'll help you out. If you go to the Discord, I will also put a link to this in there, and go to the Enfusion Terrain Makers. If you ask a question in there, people are usually pretty friendly and will get you the question, answer your question if they can. All right, so moving on. All right, so we've launched our tools. We will create a new one. We'll just call it tutorial land. Oh my god, I cannot spell. Land 2. We'll include the Armor Reforger and core and launching. There we go. All right, so we're here. The first thing you want to do, because this caused me a lot of crashes, is go to the name of your project here at the top left. Just right click here, new folder, and just call it worlds. If you save it to anything that's not the worlds folder, good chance that your thing will crash. So we got that. So we're going to go in here to the world editor. Bam. First things first, we got to go to new world, base scene, so it's nice and clean for you. You don't have any crazy stuff in there you didn't know there's there. And then save your world. We'll call ours tutorial land 2. Boom. All right, so we got that set up. All right, so next what we do is we need to import our first terrain. So here on the left side at the bottom, there's like a little create tab. You can search for this. It's terrain, just filter for terrain. Then there's generic terrain entity. Just drag that over into the gray screen. So this will come up on the right with it selected. Under object properties here at the bottom right, go up to coordinates, 0 it out. So just 0 for X, Y, and Z. And we're good there. Right click on the left on generic terrain, hit create new terrain. So this is where you need to kind of know what you want to make. We're going to stick with a smaller terrain, so it's easier to show you guys how to do stuff. So we'll go with the grid size, multiples of, we'll stick with 128. No. We're going to do 1024. So down here, it'll tell you what the terrain actually ends up being. We will put ours for a 5x5. There we go. Grid cell size to 5. And we're good to go. So we got a 5x5, and it'll be good to go. Height to entity. What does this one do? We'll just leave that default for now. So let's go ahead and create that. Now, if you hold right click on your gray screen here, you should be able to look around. You can see we now have a 5x5 kilometer default terrain. So one good habit to get into is hitting Control S about every time you do anything, because this editor will crash on you a lot, and it's a pain in the ass, especially when you spend like 20 minutes detailing something and then it crashes. So hit Control S often. Okay, so next what we're going to do is set up the generic world entity. So up here on the top left, click on world. This is where we'll set up the clouds, the oceans, the sky, stuff like that. So down here at the right, sky preset. Click on these little white buttons that say browse, and you're just going to search for atmosphere. Oh, under Armor Forger, just drag that over. Oh, and just select it. So it looks bright right now, but don't worry, it will get better. So for planet preset, you're going to need at least 3. So just hit the plus button here at the right side until you get 3 of them. So at 0, you'll want the moon. Moon 01 EMAT here. Got it. All right, next we want the stars and then the sun. So we got that, filter for stars. the sun. Filter under planets here. Boom. All right, just hitting Control S for the sake of Control S, like I said. So cloud renderer, we'll do volumetric. Let's see, then we got clouds volumetric. I'm just following the tutorial, so just do what I am doing. So just filter for clouds. We want clouds volumetric. For ocean, we want ocean. There we go. And then for ocean material, I'm sorry, for ocean simulation, we want ocean, Sim Island. Oh, depending on what map you're making, you can change these two, but we'll just go with island because that's what the tutorial says. Then the lens flare, it's just called lens flare. Lens flare. Boom. All right, saving. So that's your generic world entity. We'll move on to lighting now. So these next few steps are pretty quick. We are going to do the lighting first. So as always, save your work if you haven't already. Under create, search for generic world light. So under the create here, we will do, let's just filter for lighting. Yeah, there we go. Generic world lighting entity. Drag that on. We're not going to mess with any of the settings. We'll just leave them default for now for the sake of simplicity. So save again. Now that we've done that, you can see you can actually, well, see now. Everything's a little grayscale because we haven't added our post-processing effects yet. So moving on, we're going to do fog and haze. So just search for fog in your create menu. Fog, generic world fog entity. Toss that down. Not going to mess with any of the settings. Just leave it default. All right, so post-processing, this is what trips a lot of people up, and it definitely tripped me up when I first did it. So you're going to need to create an entity for all of these. So let's see how many we got. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you're going to need to create 8 of these. So what we're going to filter for is, if you just do PPE, there we go, generic world post-processing effect. So put down this one. We'll just do them one at a time so don't confuse ourselves. And in the tutorial, they tell you how to do the priorities on these, but I'll also tell you here. So what we're going to do is, all we're going to change is the profile and the priority. Everything else will be done by itself. So we're going to start with SSR. Priority 0. And that one's done. All right, so we're going to create another generic PPE. We're going to do God rays, priority 2. Go back to create. We're doing another one. We will do HBAO. Priority 15. Next we have HDR. So let's go to create that. Profile, HDR, and this one's priority 16. All right, we're creating another one. PPAA. That's priority 17. All right, moving on, another one. We got rain, and that one is a priority 4. Next we have SSDO, so create another one. SSDO, and that one's priority 14. Then we have underwater, which is our last one. Underwater, priority 3. And we're just going to save here. All right, so that's it for the post-processing effects. Next, we'll be doing the probe. the probe, create. You guys are going to start seeing a pattern here. Go to create, search for probe. Environment probe entity. We'll do that. All right, so this one you do have to do something different. In the menu here, you got to look for object properties and change it to global placed. So let's see, it's probe properties. Maybe that's what they meant. Hold on. Yeah, okay, they meant probe properties. Go to global placed. All right, and that is your probe. All right, so now we will be getting into the main viewport camera, which is this, WASD. While holding right click, we'll move you around. Q is up, Z is down. While you're holding right click, you can scroll wheel, which will speed up and slow down your movement around the map. So we'll just do Control Save for now. Next, I'm going to show you how to import a height map and a satellite image to help visualize your terrain if you want to use realistic terrain data. Otherwise, from here, you can just start sculpting the terrain. So let's pop over to QGIS. I'm going to assume you already followed the instructions and installed the plugin. So right here, you just click on the Game Terrains plugin. At the right side, you can choose your image source. So right here, we're going to do Grenada, just as an example. We know our map is 5 by 5 kilometers. We're going to use the Enfusion engine sat map. We will, let's see which one has the better one. So you can hit both. That one looks pretty good. See, the problem with some of these is they'll have, that doesn't get very accurate, and these clouds are in the way. So let's go back to Google. Still some clouds, but you can use stuff like Photoshop and things like that. The imaging is really weird here, so we're actually going to use Bing. We'll go back to here. We'll do a little more sparsely populated area. Before you can mark your area, make sure you go to Save As, name it whatever your map is. So we'll do tutorial land. I know I spelled that wrong, but just for the sake of time. So we got to save. So we'll mark area. Gives you a neat little square here. Let's do somewhere out here. There's clouds there. Okay, that's way too many buildings. All right, we'll do the shoreline here. That'd be a good example. Boom, shoreline. So it gives you a nice highlight. On the right, make sure you hit Export Sat Map. We're going to do resolution 2048, and we will. So that's good. Don't hit export yet. Go to height map. Use SRTM. We want a nice 2048 resolution if we can. And then download that. It's going to take a minute. I will clip it so you guys don't have to watch the loading bar. All right, so it's downloaded. So from here now, just check export. So we got the sat map and the height map downloading. There is also roads and some other stuff you can do with QGIS, but we'll just stick to this tutorial. That'll be a different one. So go ahead and export. You see it starting export. I'll clip this out so you don't watch a loading screen. Okay, so we have it exported. For me, it goes to my username, and then there's a folder called GTT export. That's where you'll find all your height map and your sat map. So going back into our editor, what we'll do is click on the terrain, go to object properties. No, I'm sorry, hold on. All right, so what we'll do is go up to this terrain symbol right here, the terrain tool. We'll import height map. We just got to browse for it real quick. Should be in that GTT export, wherever it is on your computer. So we'll open that. Then we want to do the height map ASC. Open, imported with height 2048, 2048. Sometimes you have to invert the Z-axis, and sometimes you don't. It seems like it's different for each person, but for now we'll uncheck that. So the lowest source and the highest source, what you'll do is in GT export, there's a file right here. We can see minimum height is 8, maximum is 556. So we'll go back into our thing. Lowest point is 8. Oh, oh, oh. There we go. Then 556. Hit OK. It'll load. I have a pretty quick computer. Tile texture size. We did 2048. Hit OK. All right, you can see in the distance, a lot of the terrain is done for us. This flat area here is actually the ocean. So there we go. All right, so from here we can now, let's save that. All right, we're gonna import the satellite map. Same thing, navigate to your GTT sat map. Tile texture 2048. Interpolation. I usually uncheck this, otherwise the map comes out too bright from what I have experienced. So we'll import. There we go. We now have that. It's a little dark out, so I'm going to show you this one last thing for this tutorial before I close this one off and begin the next one. All right, so the last thing I wanted to show you was how to get some sunlight in here. So all the post-processing effects are going, but what you want to go do is down under the resource browser, search for time, and you'll find this time and weather manager. Just throw it down on the map, and voila, you can actually see how the lighting affects your map. Under the object properties, you can even change the time of day if you're curious how it looks. You can change a lot of stuff in here. I'll let you dive into that. So initial time of the day, you can play with the lighting, sunset, nighttime, stuff like that. So all right, so this closes out this tutorial. I'll make another one to keep diving into the tools and help you guys get on your way to making your first map. All right, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and all that YouTube stuff. And thanks.